Well, hello, Mavericks. It is May 23rd. Let's jump into the market roundup and see what happened today. It was a nice up day for the bulls. Well, let's check out the market and how it looks today. Markets, S&P up 1.8%. The world index, VT, up 1.5%. Cryptos got hit late in the session. They were actually doing decently for most of the day. And then right around, I want to say maybe 6 Eastern time, they fell off a cliff and actually turned down pretty hard. We have been pretty bearish on cryptos for the last 2 months, so it's no surprise that we're getting some follow-on weakness. Gold and oil about flat. Let's take a look at the charts. Now, we called for a bounce. We called for a bounce off of this last low, and the reason we called for this bounce is that, first of all, we had gotten overly pessimistic. The VIX was all the way up to 34, which is where it topped out last time. And this is one of the patterns I talked about where you have a clear major support level and the market pierces it. And then by the end of the day has come back and recovered. That right there is a really good capitulation point. I mean, just think about where we were Friday and put yourself in the mind of this candle, what it means. In the morning, it looked a little dicey. It started to sell off and then it broke through support and everyone dumped. Everyone panicked. But that was it. There was no one after the people that were right on the edge. And so the selling stopped, the buyers came in, and it came back up. That is a sign of capitulation. When, again, the last people that have been reluctant to sell, when they finally sell, that's usually a bottom. And it works the same way on the tops. The people that are reluctant to buy, they watch Bitcoin go from 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000, finally 60,000. They're like, I've got to get in. Those are usually, again, tops and bottoms. I am not calling for an absolute bottom to this equity market because I do not think we're even close to there. But for a short-term bottom, we think we're likely to bounce up to maybe this 40-80 level in the SPX. So as you can see, a couple more percent, but we think at this point we turn back down and probably go down and make new lows. If we take a look at the world index, it actually bottomed out on Thursday and didn't even make a new low. So it tells me the international is doing better than US. And so we should see some money flows going into things like the Aussie dollar, the Kiwi, the euro, things that outside of the US where people are starting to put their money. We take a look at cryptos, and we talked about this over the weekend in our currency room. There's nothing good about cryptos here. This is when you have a big fall and then you can't bounce. This is a low base. These are nasty. So we think we're likely to head lower on cryptos. And actually, the CIO of Guggenheim Partners, a pretty big fund, he called for Bitcoin to go to 8,000. I think that's a little dramatic, but this here is a basket of Bitcoin, Ether, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin. But I do agree that it is going lower. So cryptos, just absolute bearishness. So when we take a look on the week, we are at a -3, meaning this is a bear market. And when things are a bear market, we have risk-off sentiment. So anything that people like to buy when they're feeling risky, when they think the economy's doing good, that's out of favor at this point. What is in favor is safe assets. And we talked about how the dollar made a huge rally over the last 2 months. We talked about this weekend, though, that it looks like that dollar rally is coming to an end. So we'll take a look at a chart on the dollar for sure. So let's see what's on the weekly calendar here. If we take a look tomorrow morning, we have German manufacturing PMI. So the euro should be in play overnight. We do like the euro. The euro is actually one of the better looking currencies on the long side. Tomorrow night, we've got the RBNZ rate statement. We will be meeting live for this. So members, come join us live. We're going to be looking for trades and we're going to see what happens off of this announcement. And then on Wednesday, we get FOMC meeting minutes. And then that's pretty much it until inflation report on Friday. So a fairly light week as far as economic reports go. So let's take a look at currencies one by one. Let's go one by one and see how they're doing. If we take a look at performance, this is the performance over the past 24 hours. And you can see cryptos, there's nothing good. They're bearish. They're going to stay bearish. They've been bearish. There's nothing more I can say other than cryptos look really bad right now. I don't see any bottom near term. In the foreign currencies, what we saw today was a pretty classic risk-on move, with the exception of the euro. So if markets were up, if you said, Rob, equity markets are up, what do you think happened in currency world? And I said, well, I bet the dollar and yen sold off, and I bet the Aussie Kiwi were bought. And I think the European currencies were somewhere in the middle, same with the CAD. I would be pretty much right, except for one thing, the euro. The euro has bucked the trend. It has actually been the best currency over the last 24 hours. And so that is notable. That is notable that the euro has actually outperformed what it should have performed. Dollar, yen, that's definitely on the downside. So let's take a look at each currency individually, and we're just going to take a look at the velocity score. Here I have my velocity scoring template. I am on a 4-hour chart. I have the RSI, I've got a 13 EMA, and I've got a parabolic SAR indicator on there. These are my 3 inputs that I'm going to be using to give this a score. So let's take a look. Let's start off with Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin, this is what I was talking about. We actually had a decent day today until this big candle. And then we are now pierced below the parabolic SAR. RSI is trending lower, and we have the EMA trending lower. So all of these are -1s. So that gives us a -3 on Bitcoin, meaning this is the most bearish you can get short term on a velocity score on Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash, pretty much the same thing. We've seen, again, it was a decent day today, then we turned down. We're now showing a lot of weakness here. So Bitcoin Cash is a sell. Let's go over to Ether. And you're going to see pretty much the same thing across the board, where we have this selling here, big candle down. Now we've got momentum starting to the downside. So shorting any of the cryptos here, I think makes some sense. This is, it's Cardano. Here's Litecoin. Litecoin has been holding up better than anything else. So if you are going to take a short in the crypto land, I think you go after Bitcoin or Ethereum. And frankly, I actually like Bitcoin the best of all on the short side. Let's jump into the foreign currencies. Let's take a look first at dollar. Now, we talked about dollar specifically on a daily chart. And we talked about how we have been starting to break down. So take a look at this chart on the dollar. We had a clear uptrending bias. We had rising RSI. We had rising parabolic SAR, rising 13 EMA. And now you can see we've just started to lose momentum. So again, think about it as a roller coaster. It goes up, and then at some point it runs out of momentum, and it's on the way down. So there's no question the dollar is on its way down. I can't give this one a -3, but definitely a -2. And you can see that the RSI has bottomed out, but everything else is still showing bearish, so -2. Over to yen, not as bearish, but still bearish. We're trading below a falling 13 EMA. We're below the parabolic SAR. RSI is trending lower. Again, yen is a good short here for the next 24 hours. Now, Swiss franc was a currency where last week it had a big jump, and it changed from a downtrend to an uptrend in just a couple days. And we said the Swiss franc needs to prove that it can do another leg. So after a big leg higher, we said, okay, let's see what it can do. We said we want to see a break out of this level, and you can see it has not done it yet. So Swiss franc is at a +1, and it's going to stay at a +1. That's just where we are here on Swiss franc. I like the trade. I like Swiss franc long. I just need to see it moving again. Right now, it's just flattened out. As you can see, that EMA has flattened out. We're getting conflicting signals from RSI and parabolic SAR. So for right now, Swiss franc is off the table. I think later in the week, it's going to be a good long. Now, euro is the one that has proven that it wants to go somewhere. We just broke out of some resistance here, and you can see we don't really have much resistance up above. We have a couple of points, but to me, it looks like the euro has pretty much an open ceiling to going a little bit higher here over the next 24 to 48 hours. If we do a score here, rising EMA, We're above the parabolic SAR and rising RSI, +3 on euro. Coming into the week, pound we had at a +2, and you can see here, you can call it a +2. You know, we have rising EMA, but it's not that steep. Rising parabolic SAR, but it's not that steep. Rising RSI. So look, the pound is the second best looking currency. But I don't think it's really worth buying here. I think euro is the clear winner here. Let's check in on CAD. CAD was actually down for the day. And when we check it out on a score here, we have falling 13 EMA, falling parabolic SAR, flat RSI. So it's a -2 on CAD. And that's where we started the week. Sorry, CAD started the week at a -1. So we've weakened a little bit from there. So we do like CAD short as well. Let's finish it up with Aussie and Kiwi. All right. As mildly bullish can possibly get. Again, everything's flat. Everything's flat. So I'm just not interested in Aussie at all. At all. I'll go find a currency that's moving. This one is dead right now. Take a look at these candles. The last 24 hours of candles has been absolute garbage trading. So right now, Aussie is garbage trading. Wait for it to trend. Let's check in on Kiwi, and all of a sudden now we have something that's actually moving. Instead of just being pinned in an area, we actually had a run, and then we're getting a pullback here. I'm definitely looking at this level here on the Kiwi to pull back. Right here, right now, EMA is flattened, RSI is falling, SARS is running. This is a mixed bag at best for the Kiwi. So this is how we started the week off, with pound looking to be the strongest and all the cryptos looking bad and CAD looking to be the worst. But again, not very strong scores. And over the weekend, we said, we're starting this week off. Hey, we don't want to be aggressive. We want to wait and see how things develop. There wasn't any clear indication that things were moving. As you can see, everything's bunched up in a 0 to a +1. We did get some movement here today, so let's update this. Cryptos have turned into a -3. It's a clear sell. Euro has shown it wants to be the strongest here for the last 24 hours. We think it's got a nice breakout going. Yen is weakened. Dollar is weakened. CAD is weakened. So these are becoming more and more clear as shorts. So we want to take a look at some crosses here with these three currencies. And so here we are. We've got two currencies that are showing us some strength. We've got three that are showing some weakness. And for me, Kiwi, Aussie, and Swiss franc are just a no trade right now. Swiss franc maybe later in the week, but Aussie and Kiwi to me just look like a garbage trading. Just we get movement, but there's no trend whatsoever. Right, so let's pair up some of those together and take a look at some possible trades. So the first one I want to pair up is euro dollar. The good old euro dollar here. So everything's looking really good here on a 4-hour chart. As you can see here, we're breaking out. Everything is exactly how you want it to be. Now remember, we have no idea how long this trend is going to last. No one does. But we're going to play with the trend. With that being said, we just made a breakout in a pretty significant run. And we don't like to be chasing things here. So for me, we are waiting for a pullback or a base. So a pullback to the 106 area, to me, I would be very intrigued to be a buyer anywhere around there. I don't think it's going to get there. I think we have more of a basing pattern between 106.5 and 107. But for me, the clear buy signal here is 107. 107 on euro dollar when it breaks is a clear buy. And then, of course, set your stop accordingly. The other currency cross I want to take a look at is Euro CAD. CAD is also showing some weakness here. So it's very similar. You can see a very similar chart here to Euro dollar here. Now, whenever you are looking at a currency cross and you'd be like, okay, look, Euro CAD looks good, Euro dollar looks good, which one's best? Remember, just pair up the other two currencies. So let's take a look at dollar CAD. And if we take a look at dollar CAD, it's telling us the dollar is weaker, that we are low basing here and breaking down here. So to me, euro dollar is the trade over the next 24 hours. On a secondary trade, let's take a look at pound. Pound was the second best one. We're getting a nice breakout to the upside. We do have some overhead resistance up in here. So this is another one where I think we're going to base. We're going to base. But once we break through that, we've got a lot of room to run. Got a lot of room. So I am really liking dollar pairs short. Not right here, right now. I think you got to let things develop. But I think that dollar short is probably the best trade here for the rest of the week. We think this risk on move is likely to continue throughout the rest of the week. Sure, we're likely to have a down day or two here, but we think that we'll be higher on Friday than we are today. Euro, pound are the clear winning trades here on the long side. And I think dollar, yen, and CAD short, with dollar being the best. And of course, cryptos, don't buy them. Just don't buy them. If you can short them, but don't buy them. Don't try to catch a falling knife. Right now, they're a falling knife, and you're going to get cut. Let it hit the floor. Let it sit there for a while before you even try to go pick those up. That is the currency roundup. Thanks for joining me.